I want to take a hot second to just talk through is just encourage. I know that we have some senior women's players in the room from various teams, and that is absolutely awesome. And I just want to take a second to encourage all of you who are in college to keep playing. Whatever that means, stay in the game. That might mean that you keep playing. Obviously, we all really hope that you'll come be Amazons. But regardless of that piece, geography is probably going to be the #1 driver of what team you end up with after this. And in addition to that, if you wind up someplace that has more than one team, go practice with all of the teams. You're going to find a fit with somebody. We have 3 incredible clubs in the cities, the Valkyries, the Amazons, Metropolis Valkyries, sorry, Amazons, and Menagerie. And we all have really different vibes on our team. And athletes come into the cities, and if you come to 3 practices, you're probably going to know where your home is. Because one of those teams is going to feel like, yeah, home. And then you know where that is. And it might be home for now, and then you wind up moving or leaving, or your goals in the sport change, and you drift someplace else, and that is also awesome. We have Amazons all over the country playing rugby for all different teams, including internationally. They're all over the place. And to us, they're still Amazons, and we're still just as excited to cheer them on. And past that, this game needs you to stay in it regardless of if that's playing. Some of you may go on to career fields where if you hurt a hand, that's like lost income for months and months, and you just have to decide that rugby's not the thing that you do. And that's totally okay, and we still totally need you in this sport. So how many of you get kind of excited when you walk onto a field and the referee that shows up is not a white dude? Yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's amazing when it happens. Sorry, Dad, we're not that excited.
Like what?
How many of you get excited when you show up to a team, be that a select side or a senior level team, and it's not all dudes coaching that team? Pretty exciting. You can be those people as you move forward. And we need you. We really need you. We need you to be those people. I will never forget showing up to referee a high school match, and the captain walked up and said, "I didn't know women could sir." And I said, "Wow, first off, there's a problem with us calling referees sir, isn't there?" "Yeah, it's fine if you are using that as an honorific, but maybe let's call the referee a referee, huh?" Because when we call them the sir, this is my soapbox, but occasionally there's some 16-year-olds who assume that that means that that has to be your pronoun in order for you to do that thing. Ouch. I've been on a warpath to never call referees sir, as in like the sir, ever again, because it had never occurred to me that some 16-year-old would think about it that way. But they're the referee. And in our amazingly misogynistic world of sports, they were always men, so we started calling him the sir. Ouch. We can fix that. Yeah.
Is there a reason why that's still like considered like
yeah.
You have to do
misogyny.
that to be respectful? Like beyond that, like okay, yeah.
No, it's literally that's it. My suggestion to any of you who's a captain, my suggestion to any of you who's a captain, the referee shows up and you say, "So awesome to meet you. What do you want me to call you today?" That's it. They'll tell you. They might look like me and say sir, and you say awesome. Then it's sir for today. They might look like me and say ma'am, and you say awesome. That's great for today. They might show up and look like me and say Zane, and you say okay, cool, it's Zane for today. And you just fix it. And if you mess up, it's just like the rest of the world and the rest of life, and you just correct it when you mess it up. Right? Thanks, sir. I mean, ma'am. If I had $1 for every time I've been refereeing, and somebody'd be like, "Excuse me, sir. I mean, ma'am. I mean, Zane. I mean, oh no." Okay, don't panic about it that hard. But does that make sense? It's the same thing we all do for each other in the normal world, but we can do that moving forward. I distinctly remember the first time I showed up to a rugby camp and it was a woman that was coaching. And I was like, oh, there's a path for me in this forward, right? So let's take that representation matters piece, and we need representation across every spectrum of humanity when we're coaching. Because boy is it a lot of white dudes, and boy is it also a lot of white women who are coaching, right? So please step into those roles as you grow up and move on through life. We need administrators, we need referees, and we need coaches. And that is my giant soapbox, and I'm going to step off of it in a second. But I'm going to stay there for one more thing, which is the landscape of rugby in the United States for senior women's teams. those of you who are in college, you know that the landscape in college rugby is something to articulate in 5 minutes, right? We were at a conference recently and I had a lot of people coming up and going, you coach college, can you tell me the landscape of college rugby in the US? And I was like, pull up a chair. There's a lot of organizations and a lot of things going on. But on the senior side, it's really quite simple. There's the Women's Premier League, which right now is the top 7 teams in the United States. We compete against each other in a season, right? We're gonna play half those matches, there's a gap, and then we play the other half. We play every team home and away, and that is the Women's Premier League season. It's a lot of plane flights. It's a little bit intimidating on paper. The league is working really hard to remove financial burdens, and it's a process, and for right now, yeah, it's a pay-to-play model, and that blows. And as teams, we work really hard to make things as accessible as possible for everybody, and we recognize that it's not always accessible for everybody, and that part kind of sucks. Division 1, you're going to be competing regionally. It's going to be a lot of long car drives, some of them flights. You're going to be, if you're competing out of the cities, you'll be going to places like Detroit, and you'll be going to Wisconsin, and you're going to be traveling some really nice big drives, Chicago. But you're going to have really amazing competitive rugby at the Division 1 level. And the notch below that is Division 2, where you're going to be competing much more locally. It's going to look a little more like a college season where those drives are a little bit more manageable, and every time the level of play just goes down a notch, and, well, at least it should. Sometimes you'll have 2 amazing D2 teams that look an awful lot like a Division 1 match, and sometimes you'll have 2 amazing D1 teams that look an awful lot like a WPL match. There's gradients to this whole thing, obviously. And then really excitingly, in the Midwest, we have Division 3 rugby kicking up as well, who are some more local teams who are playing each other, and that's really amazing that we're getting more teams in more places across the world. We have a couple of teams that are just getting started who are in the room today, and that is amazing, right? We have teams out of Iowa and Wisconsin that are just getting cooking and just putting themselves together, and that is amazing. We want that. So my message with that is just that there is rugby for you. Whether you are working the kind of job where you really can only be doing short travel on the weekends, great, look at Division 3, look at Division 2. If your goals are really competitive and someday you want to play on an international stage, then you're going to need to look to the WPL, because that's your main selection venue right now on the senior side for going on to play. Right now, for all of you in college, those of you with aspirations to keep playing up, that really begins with your state-based select side. So everybody in this room, luckily, has amazing coaches and amazing programming. Flan is the head coach for the Iowa team. So if you're looking for Iowa-based select side info, it starts with Megan Flanagan. If you're from Wisconsin, that's me. If you're from Minnesota, Allie's right over here. We have actually all of those coaches right here in the room. Amity right here. Yes, thank you.
Amity's doing way more than you.
So if you need help connecting with those people, please let me know. Right now, the selection venues for the U20 and U23 national teams really run through those select sites. So it involves you going to a camp, getting seen by that coaching staff, showing off your skills. Some of you in this room are going to go, I don't have shows, that's not me. Go to that camp anyway, because it's going to look a lot like today and you're going to learn a lot, right? And that's for any of you that are 18 and up. That world is open to you. Doors may open next year. Yes,
I'm
please.
sorry, did you say U20 and U23?
The U20 and U23 national team. Yep, high school is a little bit different pathway. Sorry, I'm not going to give the spiel for the whole room. Sorry, not going to give the spiel for the whole room. You're welcome. So U20 and U23 national team. As an under 20 and under 23 national team, which those age grades, I'm spending way too much time on this if I keep going, but basically you can be 23 as long as you turn 23 in this year, or you can be 20 as long as you turn 20 in this year. For all of you who are collegiate athletes, depending on your age, that's your national team that you're aspiring to for right now. It runs through that state-based select side. From there, you're going to have coaches watching those games and selecting for a pool to come to a camp and try out to be on then the Midwest U23 team. From that Midwest U23 team, we'll be competing at the National All-Star Championship, with this year will be in Iowa. So nice quick drive for all of us. And the state-based select side competition will be in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So the good news about having Amazons who run absolutely everything is that we get things reasonably close to home. The bad news is that we're exhausted all the time. So those competitions, none of that is going to be a very arduous travel situation. From there, the National All-Star Competition is where our U20 and U23 national team coaches select their U20 and U23 national team for their summer tour. Does that make sense? I apologize for taking time out of this to just spiel at you, but every time I do this, I get at least a few people who look at me like, huh, that's the first time I've heard about that. Abby, can I use you as an example? Okay, sweet. Abby Jacobs showed up to try out for the Wisconsin team, I think kind of like, huh, what am I doing here? Why did my friends drag me to this? And I went, oh, hello, Abby. Abby played for me for the Wisconsin select side, and then Flan said, ooh, hi. And we got you to try out for the Midwest team. Abby played for the Midwest team, and then the U23 national team said, please come to Canada with us, and put on a USA jersey and play against Canada. And Abby did. Really as simple as showing up for that state-based select side. I have a lot of Thunderbirds in this room, and that makes me really happy. There's a lot of you who played for that Midwest team. What we see then from the Amazons is that going through that pathway, even just playing for or trying out for that state-based team, makes us senior side stuff seem a lot less intimidating. So I encourage you, go take that first step, try out for that team, and that will make everything hopefully feel a little more approachable, because you're going to have familiar faces coaching there, and you're going to realize it's not quite as scary as it looks. And if you have any questions, I'm here, just come ask me. Flan's right there, just come ask her. We coach the Midwest U23 team along with Sue Whitwell. So you've got sort of coaches up through that pathway just like here in this room. And I apologize because that was lots of time about things.